In the heart of Lumara State, where traditions ran deep and superstitions held away, a girl named Amara was born. The village rejoiced at the arrival of another child, but their joy was short-lived. As the midwife cleaned the newborn, a collective gasp echoed through the small hut. Amara's skin bore distinctive markings, spots and rosettes reminiscent of a leopard's coat. Her mother, Naima, held her close, tears of both love and fear mingling on her cheeks. Amara's father, Jabari, stood at a distance, his face a mask of horror and disbelief. He was a man steeped in the old ways, and to him, Amara's skin was a curse, a sign of bad luck and misfortune. The whispers of the elders and the stares of the villagers confirmed his fears. They called it a sign, a bad omen that would bring ruin to their family. Jabari's heart hardened as he watched his wife cradle their daughter. He could not bear the thought of raising a child marked by such a curse. His reputation in the village, his standing as a respected elder, would be tarnished. The pressure was unbearable. That night, as the village settled into an uneasy sleep, Jabari made a decision that would change the course of their lives. Early the next morning, Jabari confronted Naima. "We cannot keep her," he declared, his voice cold and unyielding. "She is a sign of misfortune. The village will never accept her, and neither can I." Naima's heart shattered at his words. She had hoped that love and compassion would prevail, that they could find a way to protect and raise their daughter together. But Jabari's mind was made up. "You must choose," he said, his eyes devoid of warmth. "Either she goes, or you both do." Torn between her love for her husband and her child, Naima made an impossible choice. She would not abandon her daughter. Gathering her courage, she looked Jabari in the eye. "We will leave," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. "Amara and I will go, and you will never have to see us again." With that, Naima packed a few belongings, wrapped Amara in a warm blanket, and left the home they had shared. As they walked away, Jabari's stern figure remained etched in her memory, a symbol of the life they were leaving behind. The path ahead was uncertain, but Naima's determination to protect her daughter burned brighter than any fear. They journeyed for days, seeking refuge in a neighboring village. Exhausted and hungry, Naima found shelter with an old friend who took them in without question. As they settled into their new life, Naima vowed to raise Amara with love and strength, shielding her from the prejudice that had driven them away. She would teach her daughter to embrace her unique skin, to see it not as a curse but as a gift that made her special. Naima and Amara's arrival in the neighboring village brought a mix of relief and uncertainty. The village, though not entirely free of superstition, was more accepting than their previous home. Naima's friend, Amina, welcomed them with open arms. Amina was a widow with no children of her own, and she embraced Naima and Amara as family. As the years passed, Amara grew into a curious and spirited child. Her leopard-like skin, which once brought fear, began to be seen as a unique beauty by those who knew her. Amina, who had a way with herbs and natural remedies, taught Amara and Naima about the healing properties of plants. Amara, with her keen senses and sharp mind, quickly became adept at identifying and using various herbs. Despite the acceptance within their small circle, Naima was always cautious. She knew that not everyone in the village saw Amara's markings as a gift. Gossip and whispers occasionally reached their ears, and there were moments when the past's shadows threatened to overtake their newfound peace. But Naima's love and Amina's unwavering support provided a shield against the world's cruelty. One day, while Amara was gathering herbs in the forest, she encountered a boy about her age, struggling to climb a tree. His name was Kofi, and he was the son of a local blacksmith. Intrigued by Amara's confidence and her knowledge of the forest, Kofi struck up a conversation. "Why do you spend so much time in the forest?" he asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Amara smiled, her eyes twinkling. "The forest is full of secrets. Every plant, every animal has something to teach us. My mother and Amina have shown me how to listen to nature." Kofi was fascinated. He had heard the whispers about the girl with the leopard skin, but seeing her up close, he felt a deep admiration. Over time, Kofi and Amara became inseparable friends. They explored the forest together, shared stories, and learned from each other. Kofi taught Amara about metalworking, and she shared her knowledge of herbs and healing. As their bond grew, so did the village's acceptance of Amara. The children, seeing Kofi's friendship with her, began to include her in their games. Slowly, the fear and suspicion gave way to respect and admiration. Amara's skills in healing became known, and people started seeking her help for various ailments. However, not everyone was pleased with this change. A group of elders, still rooted in old superstitions, viewed Amara's growing influence with suspicion. They saw her as a threat to their authority and traditions. Whispers of jealousy and fear began to circulate, and tensions simmered beneath the surface. One evening, as Naima and Amina sat by the fire, Amina spoke of her concerns. "We must be cautious, Naima. The elders are not pleased with Amara's growing popularity. They fear what they do not understand." Naima nodded, her heart heavy with worry. "We have faced such prejudice before, Amina. But Amara is strong. She has a gift, and I will do everything in my power to protect her." Amara, overhearing their conversation, felt a mixture of pride and fear. She understood the dangers that lay ahead but was determined to prove that her unique skin was not a curse. With her mother's love and her own resilience, she knew she could overcome any challenge. As the days turned into weeks, Amara continued to grow in strength and wisdom. She learned to navigate the delicate balance between acceptance and suspicion, always mindful of the shadows that lurked in the corners of their lives. While many villagers had come to respect Amara's unique abilities, the elders' fear and superstition lingered like a dark cloud. They saw her growing influence as a threat to their authority and the old ways. One evening, as Amara and Kofi were returning from the forest, they noticed a gathering in the village square. The elders stood at the center, their faces stern and resolute. Villagers whispered among themselves, casting curious and anxious glances toward the center of the square. Kofi tugged at Amara's sleeve. "Something's happening. We should see what it's about." As they approached, they heard Elder Musa, the most vocal of the traditionalists, addressing the crowd. "Our village has always thrived by respecting the old ways, by honoring the spirits and traditions of our ancestors. But now we are faced with a challenge that threatens to disrupt our harmony." His eyes fell on Amara, and a hush fell over the crowd. "The girl with the leopard skin," he continued, his voice dripping with disdain. "She may possess knowledge, but it is not natural. It defies our beliefs and brings unease to our community. We must decide what is best for our village." Fear gripped Amara's heart. She had known this day might come, but she had hoped the village's acceptance would prevail over their fear. Kofi squeezed her hand, his eyes filled with determination. "We can't let them do this. They don't understand you." Naima and Amina, standing at the edge of the crowd, exchanged worried glances. Naima stepped forward, her voice steady despite her fear. Elder Musa, Amara has only ever used her knowledge to help others. She has healed your children, your friends. She is not a threat but a blessing. Elder Musa's expression hardened. Her presence disrupts the natural order. We cannot risk the wrath of the spirits. Before anyone could respond, a young mother stepped forward, her baby cradled in her arms. Elder Musa, my child was on the brink of death. Amara's remedies saved him. How can you call her a threat? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. More villagers came forward, sharing stories of how Amara had helped them. The elders' resolve wavered, but Musa remained steadfast. Enough, he shouted. We will hold a council meeting tonight to decide her fate. Until then, she is to remain under watch. We cannot take any chances. The crowd dispersed, leaving Amara, Naima, and Amina standing in the gathering dusk. Kofi's father, the blacksmith, approached them. You have many supporters, he said quietly. But the elders are powerful. Be careful. That night, as the council convened, Naima, Amina, and Amara sat in their home, the air thick with tension. Amara felt a mixture of fear and determination. She knew she had to prove her worth to the village, to show them that her unique skin and abilities were not a curse but a gift. The next morning, the village gathered once again. Elder Musa stepped forward, his face unreadable. After much deliberation, the council has decided that Amara must undergo a trial to prove her intentions. If she succeeds, she will be accepted. If she fails, she must leave the village. The trial was to be a test of Amara's knowledge and abilities. She would have to heal a sick villager chosen by the elders, using only her herbs and remedies. With Kofi, Naima, and Amina by her side, she gathered her herbs and prepared to face the challenge. The sick villager, an elderly woman with a mysterious ailment, lay before her, her life in Amara's hands. Amara worked tirelessly, her knowledge and intuition guiding her every move. As the days passed, the woman's condition began to improve, and hope blossomed in the hearts of the villagers. The elders watched in silence, their skepticism slowly turning to awe. When the woman finally stood, healthy and strong, the village erupted in cheers. Elder Musa, his face softened with grudging respect, stepped forward. Amara, you have proven yourself. You are no longer an outcast. You are one of us. Despite the acceptance that Amara had earned through her trial, not all animosity was laid to rest. While many villagers had come to respect and even admire her, the whispers of suspicion never completely died away. She expanded her healing practices and even began to teach others, including Kofi, who had become her closest confidant. Together, they dreamt of a village where knowledge and tradition could coexist harmoniously. One evening, as Amara and Kofi were discussing plans for a communal art garden, they heard a commotion outside. Stepping out of Amina's home, they saw a group of villagers gathered around Elder Musa, who held a small, intricately carved box. His face was pale, and his eyes filled with a mix of fear and anger. The spirits have spoken, he declared, holding the box high for all to see. This was found at the edge of the forest, a warning from the spirits themselves. They are displeased with the changes brought by this girl with the leopard skin. The villagers, who had come to trust Amara, now looked at her with uncertainty. The box was opened, revealing a small, withered plant wrapped in a piece of cloth covered in ancient symbols. Fear rippled through the crowd. Amara stepped forward, her voice steady. This plant is rare but not a curse. It grows in the deepest parts of the forest and has powerful medicinal properties. Someone is trying to manipulate your fears. Elder Musa's eyes narrowed. And who would do such a thing? Who would have the knowledge to twist such symbols? Amara felt the weight of his accusation but stood firm. I do not know, but I am willing to find out. Let me investigate this plant and the symbols. Give me a chance to prove that this is not the work of angry spirits. Reluctantly, the villagers agreed, giving Amara 3 days to uncover the truth. She and Kofi immediately set out to explore the forest, seeking clues to the plant's origin and the meaning behind the symbols. Their journey took them deeper into the woods than they had ever ventured before. On the second day, they discovered a hidden grove filled with the rare plants. Among the trees, they found remnants of a campsite, evidence of someone harvesting the plants and using the symbols to create fear. It became clear that someone from the village, or perhaps an outsider, was trying to sabotage Amara. Returning to the village, Amara and Kofi shared their findings with the villagers. This is the work of someone who wants to divide us, Amara explained. These plants can be used for good or ill, but they are not a curse from the spirits. The villagers listened, their fear slowly giving way to understanding. Elder Musa, however, was not convinced. You have not proven who is behind this, he insisted. Without that, your words mean nothing. Frustrated but undeterred, Amara and Kofi continued their investigation, seeking out those who had access to the forest and knowledge of the old symbols. Their persistence paid off when they discovered that a young man named Tand, a former apprentice of Elder Musa, had been seen in the forest at odd hours. Confronting Tand, they learned the truth. He had been manipulated by Elder Musa, who feared losing his influence over the village. Musa had convinced Tand that by creating fear, they could control the village and preserve the old ways. With this revelation, Amara and Kofi presented their evidence to the village council. The villagers, now fully aware of the manipulation, turned their anger toward Elder Musa. Amara's reputation as a healer and leader grew, and the village thrived under her guidance. Her bond with Kofi deepened, and together they worked to create a harmonious community. However, the past has a way of resurfacing, and one fateful day, a visitor arrived in the village, stirring memories and unresolved emotions. Jabari, Amara's father, stood at the edge of the village, his once stern face now softened by years and regret. Word of his daughter's abilities had reached him, and he had come to see for himself the child he had rejected and disowned so many years ago. His heart was heavy with guilt, and he hoped for a chance at redemption. Naima was the first to see him. Shock and anger flashed across her face, but she quickly composed herself. "What are you doing here, Jabari?" she asked, her voice cold but controlled. "I've come to see Amara," Jabari replied, his voice trembling. "I heard of her accomplishments, and I realized the mistake I made. I seek her forgiveness." Naima was torn. When Amara returned from the forest, Naima gently broke the news to her. "Your father is here. He wishes to see you and ask for your forgiveness." Amara's mind raced. The memories of her father's rejection and the pain it caused flooded back. But she also remembered her mother's teachings about compassion and the importance of forgiveness. She took a deep breath and nodded. "I'll see him." As she approached the place where her father waited, she felt a mix of emotions, anger, hurt, but also curiosity and a glimmer of hope. Jabari stood up as she neared, his eyes filling with tears at the sight of his daughter, now a confident and respected young woman. "Amara," he began, his voice choked with emotion. I have wronged you deeply. I was blinded by fear and superstition. I see now that I was wrong. Can you ever forgive me? Amara looked at her father, seeing the genuine remorse in his eyes. The journey to this moment had been long and painful, but she had grown stronger and wiser. I cannot forget what you did, she said softly, but I can try to forgive. It will take time. Jabari nodded, tears streaming down his face. I understand. Thank you for giving me a chance. The village continued to thrive, with Amara and Kofi leading the way. The community, once divided by fear and superstition, was now united by understanding and acceptance. Amara's journey had come full circle, from rejection and exile to acceptance and leadership. Her story was a testament to the power of forgiveness and the strength that comes from embracing one's unique gifts. As she stood at the edge of the forest, looking out at the village she helped transform, Amara knew that the future was bright and filled with endless possibilities. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like it and share it.